And I'm not sure we're gonna get an answer to that tonight.
And just so I understand better, so if obviously there's litigation happen any moment, so if there's something that we weren't expecting, we could get a waiver from the state saying this is an emergency, that there was no way we could anticipate this.
Right, like,
But
well, the
this is-
53
this is-
acres
this
was,
is- If we're talking about this is something that we should have anticipated, and therefore would be frowned upon for us to ask for a waiver if it came up.
I'd say they would see this as a foreseeable event we should have planned for.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. Robert, you have any, whether this would be viewed as an emergency if we took money out and then Cougar litigation ensues, whether we could get an
Especially since we
emergency?
just discussed it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bring a Rosemary Woods number?
Yeah.
I just have a comment on a specific issue John raised, and then a more general comment. I would recommend, Bob, to you and to anyone else employing attorneys by the borough, that we not agree to any rate increases or fee increases for 2009. They won't be happy, but they won't go away either.
I agree. I think that policy was in place last year, and we'll probably have to carry it forward for.
And if they do go away, I'd replace them. I mean, it's a good firm, but there are a lot of good firms that we can get to do the same kind of work. On a more macro level, as I look at your summary page, this budget's a little bit inverted from others. In almost every other budget I've seen, the real increase comes from personnel and the fringe benefits. That's not where it comes from here. Here it comes from, and I think you've explained it comes from the other expenses because it's primarily the attorneys you're hiring and the planners, et cetera. However, looking at it, I just see an increase from actuals of 55 in '08 to a proposed 82. That's a 45.5%
A lot of
increase.
additional expenses.
Too much.
Absolutely.
And in part, I think, it might be because of a reserve we're holding for potential litigation, but that's going to be a small part of it, I'm guessing.
It's a fairly significant part.
Give me an idea how much of the 27,000 difference is the reserve for litigation.
It looks like it's $15,000.
Okay, so about half.
Wow.
The other comment, and you suggested it, Bob, you said that there were a lot of planned activities in 2009. I'm not going to question the value of any of them. I'm going to assume that they're valuable. They all have a reason. But I would ask you to consider strongly whether any of them can be postponed to 2010 without causing undue damage. I mean, I don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish, but some things can be, or even started later in the year and carried over, so that we're not incurring all the
Certainly
costs.
have to take that request all the way back to the board.
We have to do the re-exam report of the master plan. That's statutory
Okay.
responsibility.
So if the answer is certain things you have to do, then that's the answer, but anything discretionary, I'd ask to see if we can push it back.
I just throw a comment in, on the legal fees, our residents, in terms of which they led the charge on behalf of that litigation, they've spent to date in excess of $65,000 on their side. School district, not our school district, Chatham School District has spent $140,000. This will not be an inexpensive fight, and we just need to gear up for it, that's all.
I stand by my comment earlier, Ray. I'm not quarreling with the need to send a signal, having understood the way the state release or waiver from the cap works. I understand the need to budget for it. I just think we may need to do it a little bit differently so that we don't create the wrong impression in the context of a specific department or regulatory body.
And it's certainly a shame we have to do it.
Okay.
We agree.
So Bob, regarding planning board, you'll go back and take a look at the numbers more. So can we move on to 185, zoning board?
Well, same issue. Yeah, it's the same issue.
Okay. In terms of the summary sheet, if you look down at the total costs, there's a significant difference of $32,000. And it looks to me
Jeez.
like, again,
It's 30.
28,000 is attributable to services. And again, that may be the reserve issue that we're talking about, split between the two boards, because we don't know which direction the litigation has to go, either the planning board or the zoning board. So I believe that is an allocated issue between those two boards, and reflects back on a fundamental decision we're gonna make as to how to handle that.
But you know, Bob, I don't see that. If you look at sub-account 215,
Yeah.
you don't see the big increase that we did in the last one.
If you look at litigation
20,
research.
22 to
and
40.
resolutions,
There's 16 there.
You go from 22
To 40.
to 40.
40, there it is.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Okay,
The one I can't find is total other expenses of, no, I guess that's 14. Where's the other 16? What am I missing? Total other expenses goes from 43 to 73, right?
correct.
It's almost all in services.
It's all in professional services.
That's the 28.
Yep.
And
But
then
I
we
only
pick up
see-
another 2 grand. But that was only 14, right? Or 18?
18 is all.
So where's the rest of that?
It looks like there's an additional $1,000 in the overhead issues that you're mentioning.
Yeah, that doesn't get me there, though, does it? Because the total other expense differential is $30,000. On the legal, we've reserved 18, right? On the
28.
215 account,
28?
no, we went from 22 to 40.
Correct.
Okay, so that's 18. Where's the other 12 coming from?
I tell you, I would have to run line item expenditure totals for the legal costs to be able to verify that the department proposal was equal to what last year's expenditures were.
The 15 is from the first line. It go from 10.5 to 12.5.
That's two.
If it's a line below that, so you go from 22 to 40.
That's right, and
Until
then
you see
22
the
to
bump.
40.
And I'm still trying to find another 10 or 12 grand
you
to
got
close that 30,000 gap, and I don't see it anywhere in the sheets for this item.
It looks to me that there are additional hourly costs for the planner, as well as the legal costs. And
10,000 gap for it.
You nickel and diming me, Bob. I want 10,000. I'm not looking for $500. It's not there. And we need to know that.
Bob, would you like to come back with a new proposal,
I'm afraid
revised
I would
proposal?
have to find out where all those services costs are locked up in this budget proposal. So that'll take a little bit of additional work.
Right,
Okay.
so we can move on to 195?
May I ask a question?
Sorry, yes.
John, are you trying to explain the difference between the 2008 budget of 45,000 and the proposal of 70? Are you trying to
No,
explain?
I'm further down, total other expenses, from 43,188 to 73,030
On the summary page.
on the summary page. Yeah, I see the differential on services that effectively gets me from 42
To 70.
But it's not clear to me where the differential, the 30,000 between 73 and.
Well, total other expenses is the lines of, so the 30 difference is all in services.
511.
Right, and then you go to the service line,
But I'm coming close to it,
and I'm not sure I'm getting to the full change, the full differential on the
well,
service page,
If I come down here, I'm coming up with 70, down the recommended budget line,
right?
and then 22,
That'd be 16 if you, versus that, and 25 going all the way back to what was the original 08.